Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first live show in the second phase of Elderlingalong, I guess, which Ashley's very eager. We're going to be discussing Errand by Robin Hobb, and that just reminded me to, my internet connection is fine. Ashley's very eager. Oh my God. Errand. Why is that always me? Why is that always me? So yeah, we're going to be talking about the first book in the Tawny Man series today. We're going to do a little bit of non-spoilers, which is just like general thoughts and stuff. Although I would say that if you intend to read the Realm of the Elderlings and you haven't read at least the Farseer trilogy, then you may end up being just a little bit spoiled just because it's hard to talk about anything. Like I've struggled in my vlog this week to talk about anything without spoiling the Farseer trilogy. So do be cautious of that. But if you guys want to just give like your general thoughts on this book and your rating. Oh, Aaron came for the tears.
There may be some.
I was going to say general thoughts. Rating 5 stars.
Yeah, general thoughts, pain, rating. I'm too mad and still trying to work that out. I don't know what it's going to be. It's probably going to be 5 stars, isn't it? But like begrudgingly.
Yeah, pain, sadness. I didn't read the blurb for this one. I think I've already told you girls this. I didn't read the blurb for this because the blurbs tend to be very spoilery. So the plot was nothing that I was expecting because I literally didn't know what this was about at all. So surprising, painful, 5 stars.
Yeah, I also gave it 5 stars, but I don't, because like Cody said, begrudgingly 5 stars because it hurts. Yeah. But still 5 stars. The plot did surprise me a little bit because I had read the synopsis and I knew that he was going to rescue the prince, but I didn't know, like, because it didn't say in the synopsis that I read like why he went to rescue the prince or anything on what the greater plot would be. So I was a little bit surprised by the specific direction and the factions that we're exploring in this book. But yeah, it just hurt, and I didn't expect it to hurt because I expected the hurtful thing to happen, and I thought I was ready. I'd already been warned that this book made a Marine cry, and I still wasn't ready.
Like, I feel like with the thing that hurt, like it played us around a lot with the, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, not yet. Oh, now it, no, hold on. Now it's gonna, no. Yeah. Now it's gonna happen.
You think we're safe? Oh no, wait.
Aaron said, "Is it Royal Assassin levels?"
Worse. 10 times
worse.
Yeah.
And it worries me that in terms of the Fitz story, this is only book 4, so there's 5 more Fitz books to go.
We're not even halfway through it.
No. How will he even be able to like function at that point? The amount of shit she's already put him through.
I don't know. I had a pit in my stomach reading this whole book, yeah. So
I still have that pit. Like I can feel it physically pulling me down because I've just been saying to the girls before, I read this for 4 hours earlier on because I still had 200 pages to go, so I just blitzed through like 4 hours worth of reading. All of the things at the end. I was like, oh no. So I'm just like, I'm still like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Grieving,
but like I feel like I'm more energetic, so I'm just like still.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the word is for it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Aaron asked what Hamilton rated it because he was so involved in the reading. He was very involved in the reading. I was just obviously, like, I have a live show for this. I'm trying to blast through the book. It's quite a slow paced book, and he just kept lying on the book.
He didn't appreciate cat slander.
See, I think that he would have rated it maybe like a 4 because he appreciated the cat content but didn't appreciate the cat slander, so he marked it down a little bit for that.
As a cat,
reasonable.
That's a good goal, Jade. Never read a synopsis. They're very spoilery.
I've learned from our first experiences to just not. So I'm going to continue not. So my opinion for the rest of this is just going to be, I didn't see that coming. Didn't know what this book was about.
Yeah.
Forever.
I do feel like we got prepared for the big start. I will say that. Can we do anything without spoilers?
Not really.
There's something that I think is interesting at least in terms of like predicting what each series is within the Realm of the Elderlings, because this one is very focused on the wit, which up until this point we've only got like vaguely like a little bit about. So I find it interesting because now that I've seen that, I can see that like the first series was the establishment of like the royal family and how they work in the political thing. The Lightship Traders trilogy was more like an establishment of the skill, I guess. This feels like it's going to be an establishment of the wit as a series. So then I'm just like, okay, so is the dragon series going to be the dragons, as I keep calling it? And then what will the last one be? Fitz himself or Fitz and the Fool?
That could be. I feel like the last series could be like an actual kind of epic plot line, you know, like a saving the world kind of epic plot line when everything's already been established. So you already have the knowledge and you don't have to struggle through the knowledge. You can just like really enjoy the story part of it. Also, I think there's going to be a lot of things that haven't clicked yet that click in that final trilogy.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of what the actual plot of this book is, for a long time you don't do much towards it. We spend a lot of time just like roving around trying to figure stuff out. It felt like this book was very much a establishment of, like I said, the way the like attitudes towards it, what it is for a start, how it's affected different people at different ages, the different like factions of it. Like you've got the old blood, you've got the eyeballs. That's what this book felt like to me.
I'm really glad I read The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince, though. It's nice to have that backstory. So for anyone who hasn't got to this point yet, try and read that novella before you get into this series, because it's nice to have that backstory.
I think that story's essential. I don't think we would get anywhere near as much understanding from this without it.
When we get into the spoiler section, I also want to talk about some elements of this book in relation to Piebald Prince, because I know that we have all read Piebald Prince. But it's interesting because it was actually published 9 years, I think, after Fool's Errand. So I'm wondering why, because what year was that? That was 2013, so I'm guessing before the final trilogy. So I'm wondering if that knowledge actually is essential to the final trilogy, to have actually read that in its entirety. Unless it was published, it could have been published as a short story somewhere else. The book is a love letter to Farseer fans.
I don't know about a love letter, just like a pain through the heart, but okay.
Like a curse, but thanks.
It was a love letter at the beginning, and then
it's like a painful love letter of unrequited love, and you're never going to see your love again.
Molly said, I feel like there was more of a conversation about the wit mixed with the skill as well. Like 50 years of the wit and the skill together was interesting to me. Jessica said to me, this book was like a clean slate. It wrapped up so much from the original trilogy. And I do feel like the first couple of 100 pages was kind of just filling in the gaps. I don't know what Robin Hobb intended when she started the Realm of the Elderlings, whether she intended for it to go on for so long, because it did kind of feel like the beginning of this book was backtracking, as though she hadn't intended to have a new trilogy 15 years after, so then had to fill in the things that happened during the 15 years. And I did notice in this book, in terms of the writing, I think I marked it the lowest in core pile on writing, because there was a lot of monologuing with things like the filling in, and like at the, this isn't really spoilery, but at the end there is a character who is filling in what they've been doing while they've been missing from like a part of the book, which I did notice. But I'm even wondering if the plot going forward in this trilogy is going to be the same, or whether it's going to be more about, we kind of need to do spoilers. I can't talk about
I don't know how to say anything.
We have a new antagonist. We'll just say that. It's quite interesting.
So we're going to go into spoilers now. So I'll give you guys like a little bit of time to vacate, but you should read these books. They're very good. Especially if you like pain. You like pain? This is a series for you. Okay. I'm trying to remember the thread that I was on then. But with the dutiful thing kind of being wrapped up, I still feel like we're going to focus on the wit going forwards. But I'm wondering if the focus is going to be more on the Fitz and the Fool and what they have to do together with things like the Rooster Crown, which came back up in this book. With like that kind of stuff on the sideline, because what they're doing is like the stuff that they're doing with Dutiful is going to be relevant because they're supposed to be changing the course of time, but I'm wondering if it's going to focus a little bit more on their bond while establishing the wit in the background.
Yeah, I also think there's obviously the thread with the new antagonist, like I said, the Pale Woman as well. She's going to come into it.
I was going to say that I leave.
Ooh, you don't want to be spoiled.
To be fair, I don't even think it would matter because it's still her.
Yeah, you know it's coming and it's still her.
It's a bit better from page 1. Like, Robert spoiled you.
As soon as he said that he was like losing weight and he was a bit tired and a bit slower than usual, I was like, no, I'm not prepared for this.
No.
I'm trying to find my book, but there it is. So, was it, what's he called? Kebble Warbread that is the other like false catalyst person with the Pale Woman?
Yeah,
he's the catalyst and the Pale Woman is the White Prophet. But there was, towards the end, did I mark it? One of the beginning of chapter things.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, it confused me.
Because I literally put Kebble Warbread and Pale Woman, i.e. False Prophet and Catalyst, they're the red ships. That's like...
Well, it seems like because I'm confused about the placement of this paragraph in terms of the timeline, because for all intents and purposes and the perspective of the characters, all of that stuff is over with. They're done with the Red Ship Raiders. But this makes it seem like they took a hit during the forging and now they're coming back. But I don't feel like we usually get that with these books. Normally the information in those chapters is relevant to the chapter coming forward, but it's all stuff that's happening to the knowledge of the characters, if that makes sense.
Thinking, though, because didn't the red ships have something to do with the Out Islanders?
Yeah.
That's a chapter where Prince Dutiful's wife-to-be is introduced. Islander. So I'm wondering if the Catalyst and the Prophet are going to come back and fuck up something for the Out Islanders. I can't say that. Mess around with them, and that's going to cause another line of problems to the Farseer family because the betrothed is somehow in danger from Catalyst and Prophet, who were not to be. Like, I feel like they're just going to come in and mess stuff up at some point because they think they're doing the right thing, and it's just like, you're not even relevant, go away.
I'm just reading what people are saying about Night Eyes and getting... Because Kayla said the fact he's literally being attacked on the cover of the book, so I looked at my cover and he's not being attacked, but he's on it.
He's not being attacked.
He's there.
Oh, for God's sake. I was a little bit annoyed that he's not grey on these covers, though, because he's always described as grey.
I did notice that there's another on this copy, though.
Yeah, when the other came in, I was really excited.
The other, yeah.
Okay.
He took like a figurine, didn't he? Dutiful took that little figurine as well as Fitz.
I feel like we're jumping all over the place.
I'm trying to bring us back to order. We will discuss Night Eyes soon. Okay.
Do we have to?
Right, Aaron has a question. Do I need to read Live Ship first? I would definitely recommend it. I know my nail tech and her husband have only read the Fitz books, and reading this, because I know that she's only read the Fitz book, I was confused as to how this could make sense without reading the Live Ship Traders, because there's so many like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
But you could definitely do it without, but there's a lot that you're missing if you don't.
Yeah. Like off topic, but kind of on topic. What the Fool calls his horse. I was really happy. If you haven't read Live Ships, that's not going to be funny to you. So you need to read Live Ships.
Also, just the knowledge on how the Fool is this now really wealthy merchant man.
Yeah. Mr. Fancy Pants.
The Fool's return is just not going to make much sense. You kind of just shrug it off as like, full fancies, like because he just come back in trotting with all his money and all to the horse, and he's got Bingtown coffee, and like that just will not make any sense to anybody who has a live ship.
Oh, Ella skipped. No.
Very much
I didn't feel like I missed anything. Oh, maybe I did. It's hard to say without reading the entire thing whether you have to read, but like the live ship traders. But I like Easter egg hunting, so I would never not read them.
Yeah,
because I like picking up on those
questioning
things.
fits about dragons as well. You're really
Yeah.
about dragons.
Yeah.
There's a lot that like you would be able to skip over, but it would be the thing where if you read it without having read live ships, then read live ships and reread the series, you'd be like, oh, there's so many different things, because it would just make sense.
Yeah, I think I've got like it's like the others, like the other turns up in one chapter of this, and they're actually a big part of the live ship traders. It is interesting though, because I think Robin Hobb did do a good job of explaining the new, like she did a good job of explaining the others in case you haven't read the live ship traders without going so far into it that it was tedious to read.
Yeah.
And also Fitz does journey some places, for example, the Rain Wilds. So it's good just to have that backstory as well. So that was cool.
Yes, I really enjoyed that where he's talking about the Rain Wild and how he ended up in the river.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading it like you idiot.
Yeah.
How did you not know this?
Yeah.
Bing
doesn't like it.
Yeah, you need to read it. The connections to live ships grows as the trilogy continues.
Oh, good to know.
Oh, also, if you are, I don't know if Aaron's still here because she shouldn't be, but if you're a big fan of The Fitz and the Fool, I would definitely read the live ship traders just because of a certain perspective in that, and just
Oh God, yeah.
Oh,
this series is just pain.
you get a lot of depth between in the relationship with the Fitz and the Fool in the live ship traders, even though that's not really the focus. I can't remember what I was going to say about the Fool. Oh, I was saying to you guys that it's this was like the other day when we were doing sprints, just the way that Fitz is so oblivious to the Fool makes my heart hurt, because oh my god, one of my favorite, the only quote that I've really tabbed is the one that I read to you guys after sprints, which is where the Fool says, all down the years you have been with me as close as the tips of my fingers, even when we were years and seas apart. Your being was like the hum of a plucked string at the edge of my hearing, or a scent carried on a breeze. Did not you feel it so? But then Fitz just says no. And I really, really love the dynamic and just the Fool and how he calls him beloved and stuff as like a joke that he carries on throughout.
People keep mentioning in the thing the whole beloved situation where it's like, what do I call you now? And it's like, you can call me beloved, and it's like, no. I'm not gonna do that.
Can we talk about beloved? Yes. And then there was the bit at the end where the Fool says, I love you. And Fitz is like, what? Yeah. And then the Fool carries on, he's like, but I don't want to kill you. So don't touch my clothes again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Fitz does think he's matured so much and he is still an idiot.
Yeah. Another thing as well when it comes to whether to read live ship or not is that I think it's not that it necessarily not makes sense, but it would feel like you're missing a lot just in terms of the Fool and how they act and how they even speak, because the difference between Parthia and this one is completely different. So I'm just like, you don't have the bridge between to see why.
I love it. I hope by the end of the series that Fitz does kind of stop being so oblivious, because if not, it's going to really, really hurt me. Yeah, we have some more saying you get so much more out of it if you read live ships. And live ships is relevant to the Fitz and the Fool. I do also believe that we will see some familiar characters in the Tawny Man series.
Someone's just said, I did wonder if the Fool was who Jenna was talking about in the beginning. Fitz's love that will keep coming back to him. I tabbed that. I literally put the Fool.
Yeah, I read that. straight off, I just read that as the Fool.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's also alluding to Molly a little bit, but I think Molly's a little bit of a red herring, and it is actually more about the Fool.
Yeah.
I think it's the Fool. I didn't even suspect for a second it'd be anyone else.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. So it says, by your left hand, I'd say you'd had a sweet and true love in your short life, a love that ended only in your death. Yet here in your right hand, I see a love that wends its way in and out of all your many years. The faithful heart has been absent for some time, but is soon to return to you again. And then he rocks up, and I'm like, it's here.
Yeah, because the thing is as well, like, Fitz keeps talking about Molly still. So I think she's going to come back at some point, or at least Boric. I really want him to be reunited with Boric, which would then bring Molly into it. But she was already referencing the left hand. So I was like, well, the right can't be Molly if she's already in like his left heart lines. But I just loved them. I love them so much. If Fitz doesn't get it at the end, I will go nuts. Same.
Yeah.
But then there's also the thing between Jenna and Fitz, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. I like her.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Starling is a bitch.
Yeah, we hate Starling.
Yeah.
She's the worst.
The worst.
Like, she was annoying at the end of the Farseer trilogy, but oh my god, like, so vindictive and self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing that she said to Hap, I don't think I did tab it, but where she said something about him being as heartless as his raping father or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Literally, just because she couldn't. Well, she didn't want her lie to come out, and I'm just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the Fool always knew with Starling, though. He's just like, yeah, hand, this is how she is. When, like, Fitz is surprised by something she's done. It's like, really?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Beric is raising his kid, as you would know, Aaron, if you went and read the books and then came back.
Mm-hmm.
Go away.
We love you, but leave.
Can you temporarily block Aaron?
Oh, I think Molly will only be back in the sense of him meeting Nettle.
This is what I was going to say. I think Molly will be back, but not for Molly, for Nettle.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, because I had I don't know if it is true, but the way that Fitz hasn't seen Shade's assistant, his new apprentice, I'm wondering who that's going to be.
Yeah, I had an inkling it might be someone, because I was thinking maybe it's going to be someone else who also has the wit and the skill. Who else also has the wit and the skill? Like, to be like a coterie and all that. It'll have to be her, because there's nobody else left with the skill, right? It's just Dutiful and Fitz.
Yeah, and assumedly Nettle has it as well, I think.
Yeah.
But something else that made me think it could be Nettle is because at the beginning they were talking about how Nettle is a lot like Boric, in that she always wants to be doing stuff. Like, Molly wants her to take over the candle business, but she wants to be like doing practical stuff and learning things, and she's always with Boric doing stuff. And I'm like, well, she would actually be quite suited to it. But then I don't know, because
I don't know. I feel like Shade made such a big deal of, or like Fitz was forced Shade to make such a big deal of leaving Nettle out of it. Like, such a big thing about leave her alone to her life. I don't know if it would be.
I keep forgetting that she's like 15 years old, because we only ever see her reference as a baby.
Yeah. I wonder if she knows that Fitz is her dad and not Boric. I wonder if they would have told her if she thinks that she's like grown up with her actual dad.
I'm wondering at what point Dutiful will find out, because I'm just like, that's not going to stay hidden.
Everybody hates Molly. We love to see it. I had a specific tab colour for Boric. Not surprised. What do you think, Fifi? Is Fitz a man now as well? Is it still just Boric?
But Boric's an old man now.
Yeah, he actually is now. I think Fitz will move on more by the time he reunites with Molly. Can't believe Shade isn't dead. He's literally old as fuck.
Yeah, he's taking all the drugs though, isn't he? By the sounds of it.
He's having a grand old time.
I think that his death may be next, him or Boric. They're the oldest. They are the oldest because they're the older generation. And it's starting to make a big deal about how Shade's getting on. Especially at the end where Shade starts crying and he's like, I'm glad that you're going to be here to look after Dutiful when I'm gone. I'm like, please don't go. Speaking of Shade, actually, something that really upset me is how Fitz, like, we all know that Fitz doesn't trust people because of stuff that's happened, but, like, just how much he feels bad about asking, like, because of the way that he's been raised, he feels like people want to use him and don't actually care about him and doesn't see the fact that, like, yes, while he was useful to be, like, trained as the assassin, they do still care about him. And that whole scene with Shade where Shade was like, do you think that I wouldn't give you the money if you wanted the money? Like, I don't, like, what is unclear about this? Because they practically raised him, Shade and Boric.
Yeah, that hurt my heart.
Yeah. A little moment of, like, realization at the end where, like, he's gone through everything, and while Shade's gone to this welcoming thing, he's still set up everything for Fitz to, like, come to do. And he's just like, he remembered me, and I'm like, baby.
And there was also that conversation he had where he was talking about how the only person he trusts is the fool, and he says to Shade, like, I love you, but I don't trust you.
Yeah. There was that funny bit as well where Dutiful was like, you're Shade's son, and your mother is Lady Time.
Like, choke laughing in the mouth. Like,
yeah.
I didn't feel like, you know what? Yeah, you got it. You got me.
Yeah, it was good.
Never would have been actually able to place, like, the family heritage.
It is funny how Dutiful really thinks that he's got things worked out and as oblivious as Fitz is, really.
Yeah, take to each other so much, which was funny to see. Although I'm so mad at Dutiful, because if he hadn't have bloody left with the cat, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
no, that was annoying, and it was all his fault.
One of the things I wrote down was Robin Hobb's a bit too good at writing annoying children.
He's very good at that.
I'm glad. I like the way that Fitz treats Dutiful though, because it does remind me a lot of how, I mean, Dutiful has a lot more entitlement because he is the prince and has been raised as the prince. But I enjoyed seeing how Fitz realized how much privilege he actually had when he was growing up throughout this, and the way that he treats Dutiful reminds me of Boric. How Boric just like gives no fucks and will yell at him and like discipline him when he needs to, and the way that Fitz approached Dutiful was like with like, I don't care who you are, I don't care what the problem is, like you will sit down or you will shut up or I will beat some sense into you.
Yeah, the way that they first meet, they just pull him on a horse, and they're just like, he tries to get up at one point and it's like, nope. She yeets him back on a horse again, and I'm like, what's going on?
Aaron seriously needs to leave. Their like father, like son comments. Get out.
Yeah. But it was also nice to see Dutiful appreciate that though, and be like, you're the only person who's actually going to speak to me properly as like another human being and not the prince. Yeah, that was good.
Like, all my thoughts are jumping all over the place.
Yes, I've normally had a couple of days to kind of collect myself and work through some stuff, but I haven't had that today.
Because the comments as well keep jumping around to different topics, so we keep going on different topics, and I'm like,
Burke is naturally paternal, though. Fitz is just pissed off with Dutiful. That is true. That is very interesting
that we saw more of a like brutal side to Fitz in this. It's like he's been a bit of a cinnamon roll throughout this entire thing and a pretty stupid assassin. Well, not a stupid one, but just like we never actually saw him do any of the killing or anything as an assassin. Whereas in this, it's like, oh, he's just gonna beat the living shit out of his son. Cool.
Yeah, see, I thought that because we'd seen him have a temper before, and we know that he has like a little bit of aggression, but he's not normally this bad because he never wanted to kill people or hurt people. It was something that he had to do, and I'm guessing it's more something that's kind of ingrained into him, so he just naturally reacts in certain ways to things after all this time. But yeah, it was still weird to see because normally I think it's because he's older as well. And with him being older, he's obviously much more stronger and intimidating instead of being like the youngest character in the story.
Mm-hmm. Like we see it from really early on where he gets accused of taking, is it a pig or a lamb or something? I don't know. Chicken.
The piglet, 3 piglets, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, well, that's funny because it went missing near you, and it's just like he suddenly switches and scares everybody into leaving him alone, basically. And it's just like, But then I think he's got a lot of resentment in him. In terms of, like, there's got so many complicated feelings about his existence.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Maybe that's him becoming more wolf-like.
Well, this is the thing.
I think it's more of a result of the torture.
Trauma.
The trauma that's put on him. And
also maybe lack of social interaction.
Because he's literally been left alone for 15 years. For all of that, like, no one's really checked in on him besides, like, the occasional whatever. So he's just been... It almost felt like he just stopped and not fully processed anything. Like, he was literally putting away memories. He would always stamp them down, and then when people started visiting him again, he didn't like that. He didn't like all of the memories that they kept bringing back, and all of a sudden he's kind of forced to confront those things again. So it could have just been a PTSD thing where it's all coming back to him and he doesn't know what to do with it. So
yeah. You know what I did find interesting is that we always assumed that his wit side came from his mother. It might not have now, because we know that it's already in the Farseer line through the Piebald Prince. So his mother might not be witted.
See, I did think about that actually, because I forgot that we'd almost specifically said it must have come from his mother. But that implies, because it seems to be a very strong gene, if both of his children have it. Well, actually, do we know about Nettle?
Not
I think
yet.
we know that
it could be skill. It could be skill dreams, yeah.
Yeah. But Dutiful got it.
Didn't we have a really vague theory that Molly was very vaguely witted because she did something with a bee?
Oh, yeah, she's really good with bees, isn't she? And she did the thing where she threw a box of bees at him.
That was more of a trick than wit, wasn't it? Like, she was just trying to make them think she was witted because she knew how to make a bee behave.
It's like, what could she mean?
But, like, that implies that possibly Chivalry was witted. We wouldn't know because we never saw him. He ghosted.
Yeah.
I don't think Shrewd was because we would have known, but it seems to be quite a strong gene, and I'm wondering how long it's been covered up, unless it kind of died out a bit, and if Fitz's mother is witted, that would have made it stronger again.
Yeah.
In them. Oh, yeah, it was implied that Patrician had the wit as well.
Yeah.
Boric as well, and Boric would know about Nettle.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's a harder one to track in terms of it's not entirely like the skill is just like Farseers have it. Whereas the wit is just like everyone can have it.
Whereas we've got a couple of questions about just like Fitz in general that I want to pull up. The first one is, how do we feel about Fitz's actions towards Hap versus Dutiful? I kind of like, I understand his distinction and how he doesn't feel like Dutiful is actually his. Mainly because like, I know that he doesn't remember it and it was like Verity and stuff, even though it was him. That he like kind of served a purpose and Dutiful was never his to claim, kind of thing. Like
being a sperm donor, basically. Like, it's not really your responsibility once it's done its thing.
Whereas Hap, he actually raised.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. But then there is like a lot of between how he feels about Nettle versus Dutiful, because like he hasn't really been around to raise Nettle either, although that wasn't really his fault. He tried.
But as well, like Dutiful is also described as having the Farseer traits, and I can imagine that Dutiful alone is a massive reminder of everything that happened, just in terms of he is baby daddy, and that's going to bring up so many memories for him. Whereas Nettle, the only memories really would be with Molly, which yes do hurt, but it doesn't come with, you know, the person who's supposed to be a dad is now a dragon. Like, it doesn't come with all that.
Not really a dragon.
Like, he can't really look at Dutiful without thinking about everything that comes with the Farseer family. And then there's Hap, who's just like, the only real reminders that Hap brings is his loneliness previously and of his little country bumpkin life. It's like a very different. I can see why the reaction would happen. I did find it interesting though when Fitz was like, I have no right to be disappointed in this boy because I wasn't the one that raised him. It's just like, because he specifically said like, I'm disappointed in my son, and then was like, no, I don't have a right to say that because I didn't raise him.
I did find it interesting that I can't remember what I was going to say. Never mind, apparently it wasn't that interesting. Something to do with Fitz and Dutiful. Oh, that's it. That Dutiful looks so much like Fitz that even Fitz recognizes it, even though he made a point of being like, I don't really have a clue what I looked like when I was younger because I wasn't paying much attention. But like Dutiful can't recognize his own features in Fitz, just like vague. He says Fitz has vague Farseer features when they look the same.
The thing is, where it's like, you don't have the Farseer nose, and it's like, that's because my uncle just smashed it to smithereens.
So it's still a Farseer nose, just one of creation rather than genetics.
Fifi makes a good point here. Why he was left with his father in the first place regarding Fitz being dropped off for chivalry could have been because he's witted. And they wanted rid of him. It's a very big possibility. Where's that other question?
I don't know. I feel like it was the grandfather, wasn't it? I wouldn't put it past that grandfather figure to slice him up and burn him over a fire.
True.
So if it was that, I feel like they would have just killed him.
What if he was planted? They knew who was witted, and they were just like, you know what this would do? Fuck up the royal family.
This would be funny.
No, because they're trying to like mess up the royal family via Dutiful, weren't they? So I'm just like, what if just all these years before they just tried to plant Fitz instead? It's like, this is yours. Is it going to be a problem? Enjoy.
Can we have a chat about Fitz going back to abusing elf bark? That was I found it interesting how they treated it like an addiction in this book, because elf bark's something that he's constantly been using, and he eased off a bit, but it's made clear at the beginning that he is still pretty reliant on it if he has bad skill days or if he's skill dreaming.
Yeah, I think there was more an emphasis on the addiction being wanting to skill, but it was nice to see the Fool basically make him just go cold turkey for a while, even though it like almost killed him every time. He was pretty useless afterwards.
I do think though throughout the book he complains about it less and less.
Yeah,
because I think Shade said that he read in the scrolls that if you actually skill a lot, it's a lot more manageable and it doesn't really hurt that much, which is what he's getting to. But I do think that the way that addiction was portrayed and how like he begged for the elf bark and how he's like was thinking of excuses and like reasons why he needed it, and like the people who were saying no you can't have it were wrong. So I think that was good.
And good that he would very quickly swap to other addictive things. So like in the beginning, because the Fool had brought with him all of this alcohol, there was one point where he puts down elf bark and goes to pick up something else, and then he puts it back down again, just like, no, I shouldn't do that. Like, it's a very subtle thing, but he instantly goes towards alcohol and then puts it back down again.
Did Fitz put his hurt towards Molly into the dragon? I think he did.
I think so.
See, Fifi said Fitz didn't choose to make Dutiful. He chose to sleep with Molly and knew the risks, and then he chose to take in Hap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he's more distant to Dutiful also because he doesn't want anyone to know that he's technically a bastard. The interesting thing is that everyone seems to have forgotten that Fitz existed. Like when Dutiful is saying like, "Oh, were you a distant cousin?" Dutiful knows that he's witted, and surely he knows about Fitz as having existed because it would have been a big deal when they killed him, and he was a big deal when he turned up on the doorstep as a bastard.
Yeah.
So, like, surely Dutiful would know, and I don't know why that didn't click, but nobody seems to remember him. Like, even the point where Fitz says how much Dutiful looks like him, you think people would be talking about it all the time. Like, how much he looks like Fitz.
I did wonder about the whole, like, who looks like who, because they made a big faff about, in the beginning, like, you know, no one's going to recognize you and everything. And I was like, okay, but he was really recognizable in the Farseer trilogy. Like...
Because he looks like Chivalry, and he looks even more like Chivalry now.
And it's just like, because they said something about how they haven't seen his like grown-up face or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, but they've seen the entire family's grown-up faces. But I'm just like, I don't know, I feel a bit weird about it, because I'm just like, surely someone, because at the same time, if everyone's been told that he's dead, they don't have a reason to question that. But also, in terms of who was involved and who would have known Fitz close enough to kind of do the double take, we've got Ketchikan, who obviously would have just stayed quiet about everything. Everyone else is gone.
There was Patience, but she's not really around anymore.
No, she's like the queen of one of the other places, isn't she?
The only person actually at this court that would have reason to like fully recognize him is the stable person that you pointed out.
Hans,
yeah.
Because like all of Ketchikan's queenswomen are new. Like probably most of the people have changed in 15 years. So I'm like, well, besides like Shade and
the cook. That wasn't the cook still there, but now she's just an old lady in the corner.
So I'm just like, that's the only reason why I could kind of be like, okay, I can believe this a little bit, because in 15 years everybody's going to have moved on somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, they all assume he died. I can't remember how he was. Oh, no, I can't remember how he was supposed to be dead. Okay, cool. I just had to like.
He would have been dead when Dutiful was conceived.
Yeah.
But then you've also got people like you've got that minstrel coming in saying that he's not dead. And I think he lists off like 4 or 5 people who know that he's not dead. That were all Verity's guards and stuff, which would imply that they're loyal, but then why have you got a minstrel thinking about it?
It makes
like,
me
think
it's going to be one of the problems of the next book. Like, I think we're going to see him kind of establish himself again in court, but as Tom Badgerlock and Dutiful's teacher to be, but in secret. But like, I can imagine we're going to see the establishment of that, and then people start questioning, being like, wait a minute. You look a lot like this story that this minstrel's going around, and kind of putting 2 and 2 together.
Fifi said maybe they don't talk about him because it's distasteful.
Yeah.
I imagine like with court politics, the whole thing with Regal would be something embarrassing that they wouldn't want to talk about, like the ones that supported him. Because that's all over with now. Secrets, the Farseers are full of them. His face did change because of the torture, but I still think he's got the scar, but they do keep saying that the scar's faded a lot. And his nose is broken. But
the thing pointed out is his nose and his scars, and I'm like, I can't imagine that being enough to just not, because of how much of an emphasis they put on the Farseer trilogy, that he was easily recognizable. Like, he would literally walk down the street and they knew who he was.
Surprised more people didn't pay attention to the minstrel song. Hans didn't really see him though, did he? No. He just saw like a passing glimpse of him. I feel like he actually saw him face to face and spoke to him.
Song, and people didn't pay attention to the minstrel song that was kind of made a point of in the Farseer trilogy, though, with the Fool being the Fool. No one pays attention to the Fool.
Yeah.
No one believes them.
I couldn't adjust to the aliases every time I read Tom Badgerlock or Lord Golden. I was like, who are they again? Oh yeah.
It was, when it comes to the names, actually, there was like a really clever bit of writing on Robin Hobb's part that I was just like, I appreciate that, because there is a particular scene, I can't remember when it is, but it continues through the book, where the switches between calling the Fool and Lord Golden. That's completely blank there. Lord Golden is really subtle in terms of like if they're having a conversation. There was one where like every sentence switched between whether it was a genuine reaction of the Fool or a performance put on by Lord Golden, in terms of like you can tell that he would have been amplifying his voice, you can tell that he would have been putting on this thing for the show of people around them versus what he was saying to Fitz specifically. And I just found it really clever, because I was like, you're saying so much by just subtly switching which name you use. Like you put so much importance behind one sentence and then diminishing that, like the importance of the next sentence, just by swapping names and stuff. And I'm just like, it's really clever.
Something that I don't know if I'm reading too much into regarding like names and stuff is that the Piebald Prince was called Prince Charger and Fitz is called Changer. And his sigil is a charging book. And I'm just like, is this relevant? Am I reading too much into this? Or is there something that, because I don't think it mentions when it refers to the Piebald Prince in this book, I don't think it refers to him as Prince Charger or him being called Charger. That's just something that we've gained from reading the Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince, which I did pick up on. Becca loves a conspiracy theory. She does. Also in fantasy in general, I'm sure all you guys know, you tend to have recurring themes throughout history. So I always pay attention to like historical things and like how the plot can be cyclical, or like certain characters can mirror historical characters. And it was referenced a lot in here, but I didn't know whether it was referenced so much in here as a comparison between Fitz and the Piebald Prince, or whether it was just like giving more history and backstory for the faction of the Piebalds and how they differ from the Old Bloods.
Also to Molly, yes, some of the beginnings of the chapters was by Tom Badgerlock in the Old Blood Tale. Which is interesting because we switched from him writing a history to him writing Old Blood Tales. This one.
Also, how at the beginning it's talking about how he's writing stuff constantly, but he's just not really producing anything, just like endless scrolls with random bits of information in. I loved this. By moment with the witted ones when Fitz is like, so did you kiss the daughter? And he's like, no, I kissed the son. Like, honestly, mood.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I had to laugh though when it was just like, I kissed his hand and I was like, wait, is that it?
Yeah.
It's like, why is that such a drama?
It's enough at court.
Probably what he said as well. It was something like being able to make a promise of something. And I was like, oh.
Are we going to talk about Night Eyes then?
Yeah.
Do it now and then we can continue with like other things to ease off towards the end.
Yeah. I just don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
I think it was very well done. And I think after the fight ended, like after the fight stuff had ended and wrapped up, I kind of realized that she wouldn't kill Night Eyes in like a battle situation, because that wouldn't give us the time to grieve him properly, because it would be kind of all really fast and then we'd be wrapped up in what's actually happening. So then I thought that he might survive until the next book, but then he just died right there. But I do think it was really beautifully done with how it was written. And
Stop. I'm gonna start welling up.
Not talk about it.
It didn't really hit me as hard until he was telling Jinna about it, when he said like something along the lines of like, when she says, "Will you be okay?" and he's like, "Yeah, I'll be okay," and that's when he first acknowledges that he will be okay again. Eventually, it was then that I was like, "Oh no!"
And the fact that he can like
be okay. I'm not okay.
Yeah, and the fact that you can like almost hear him still talking to him, but he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
See, I didn't get it during the scene, but only after he woke up. It's like 2.5 pages in my copy, and as soon as they were talking about the cat and how all cats are evil, and then Fitz tells him to rest, and Night Eyes agrees, and he's like, "Yeah, rest," and then they go to sleep, and I started crying straight away, and I was like, "Why am I crying?" Because then he got up and he was hunting, and he was talking about the area where he was, and I was like, "No, why am I crying? Like, he's just hunting. It's fine."
He wasn't funny.
Oh God.
Yeah. The one thing which I'm just like, if anything, this is why I know that we're going to see Fitz and Nettle reunite, because Night Eye said, "Live well for both of us and someday tell Nettle tales of me." And I have a feeling we're actually going to see that scene where he's sat with Nettle and tells her about Night Eyes, and I'm just like,
"Oh, don't. I'm gonna start crying."
Yeah.
God damn.
It's interesting because we knew from the beginning this would happen. Like, such emphasis is put on it.
Yeah.
Again.
I need to reference a part of it now that I found interesting about it, because when Night Eyes gets up, he says, "Aren't you coming? I was sure you'd want to come with me." And then he says, I do, but not just yet. Give me just a little bit longer." And Night Eye says, "Very well, little brother, just a bit longer. Follow me when you will."
Oh,
But then, like, on the next page, when it says, "Wait, I'll get up and I'll come with you," and he says, "Wait for you, not likely. I've always had to run ahead of you and show you the way."
Oh God.
And also the good hunting, "I'm going now, my brother."
Oh, I hate everything.
It was just so fucking sad.
Yeah, I think it's the way it was done as well. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even put it into words, because like I knew it was coming. I'd been warned that it was coming and that I would cry, so I didn't expect it to hit me, but just the way that it was done was so well done that I was doing a lot of sobbing, just like everyone is crying. Yeah. Fucking Hobb, yeah. Fucking Hobb. I was listening to the audio of kids being noisy in the background, so it didn't reject it.
Yeah, when we're talking to dinner.
But we all know that a cat can make you feel better. Come back.
It'll make you feel better. Bellatrix. Come here.
Oh, a part of me was like, maybe Fitz is so tired because he used part of his life to heal Night Eyes.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting because obviously Dutiful also lost his cat.
Yeah.
See him literally like die. And the way that their relationship is kind of built off that.
Go away.
The way that Dutiful and Fitz decide to not hate each other because they've both gone through this thing where they like each of them could blame the other for the loss of their bond animal.
Yeah.
And yet they're both just like truce. I find it really interesting, like how that formed after that.
Yeah.
You're all just bummed out now, huh? I do feel a little bit better now, though.
I finished all of the Realm of the Elderlings several ago, and I'm getting teary-eyed just watching you all talk about this again.
Yeah.
I literally like finished this book and just thought it's going to take me so many years to even dare rereading that.
Yeah. I want him to bond again because I love that banter that he has with his bond mates, but I can't go through this again. I can't. It better be something that's like immortal. Oh no, because then it'll be the other way. Oh, I don't know.
When Fitz healed Night Eyes, it reminded me of the way Vivacia healed.
I found it interesting that Fitz had that memory of the fall as Amber laid on the decks.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't think, was it the fall on the decks? It was someone on the decks. But that was like the first.
Yeah, it was a skill dream that he had to like protect the fool, wasn't it?
That was like one of the first things we saw of the stories actually coming together in terms of like we've had Farseer over here, we've got live ships over here. Now they come together.
Like he could bond with a dragon. We were talking about this before we came live, and I said I don't feel like he has the temperament. Like, could you imagine him and is she called Tintaglia?
Yeah.
See, this would be really fun though. Like, I kind of want it to happen.
Then would he turn into an Elderling if he bonded with a dragon?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Massive spoiler for Aaron there.
Yeah.
Get out.
It's interesting because another thing that links all the series together is the skill pillars. Like, I'm not sure what I think of these.
Interesting that the skill pillars were on the Others Island. And is the Others Island that they were on Others Island, or is it somewhere else where Others are?
Well, this is the thing. So I was like, is this a treasure beach that we see in?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Definitely.
I thought it was at the Cursed Shores, yeah.
Because he was just like, you can't take anything from here, give it back. Like, that's what he gets really angry about.
Yeah,
and also how we said everything that washes up there is things that humans aren't allowed to have anymore because they didn't deserve them.
And now I'm just like, well, we've taken a whole bunch of stuff from this island now. Because that ruby from Live Ship is still chilling somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we've got not only the figurine that Judithful took, but Fitz took the feather things.
Feathers, yeah.
I'm just like, we keep taking things from this island. Can we stop?
There is actually, I'm wondering, because somebody just said, is the Fool an Elderling? And I think we agreed that he's not, didn't we?
So
He's white.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that connect the Fool to birds. And I don't know if it's like relevant to, well, it's obviously relevant to him, but I don't know whether it's relevant to the fact that he's a white or because he's the prophet, because we have the rooster
I
crown.
feel so dumb that we've just had the feathers and the crown. Those feathers obviously go in the crown.
Oh.
We also have the fact that when he does his sigil, he makes it into, is it a pheasant?
It's a cock pheasant, which made me really laugh.
A cock pheasant.
A cock something.
I think that's the cover of the next book as well. That's a job.
And then he has the thing where they go on the spy mission and he's there hunting feathers. But then obviously the rooster crown that's associated with them is to do with the vision that Fitz had when he was touching the skill pillar. But I feel like it's because, like, you know what the Fool's like? I don't know whether he's picking his sigil as the cock pheasant because of the rooster stuff or whether it's like hints to something to do with birds.
It's interesting because as well, there's a lot of hints of Fitz being drawn back to the dragons and everything. Like at one point, he literally says, "I can't imagine dying without returning here," and like dying a dragon's death. And I was just like,
This as well, Tintaglia snooping into the skill stream was a moment. Interesting as well, because the way that Fitz described encountering the dragon in the skill stream reminded me of how Dutiful was talking about the Catwoman. because like Dutiful was saying like, oh, she loves me, and like you get this feeling of love and stuff, and Fitz did experience that when he was skilling with Dutiful while he was kind of almost being possessed by the cat lady. But then when they encountered the dragon in the skills stream, he said about feeling so much love when she scooped them up and was like, what are you doing here? And then sent them back.
I thought at first the way that Dutiful was describing that was the same as Malta and what's his face? Do you know when they were visiting each other in the dreams?
Yeah.
I thought that's what was going on, and I was like, oh no, she's inside a cat. Okay. Okay.
I'm just catching up on comments because I've missed a lot. I just ordered The Willful Princess since it's required reading. I feel like Aaron's just getting salty about all of the books that she has to read.
Aaron needs to read Life Ship first, please.
Yeah. I can all agree that Life is quicker to get through than the others.
They were at the actual Others Island.
Yeah.
Treasure Beach. Cool. I hope so. Maybe the Fool can kiss Fitz's hand and make us all happy.
Imagine if you just left like a little a little mark where he did it, because obviously every time he leaves his fingerprints on, and I'm just like, can we leave a little kiss on the hand? That'd be great.
Oh, something we haven't talked about yet in regards to the Fool is that he said that he could compel people, or like he could put some kind of spell over them at one point, right? He said that he can coerce people when he needs to. I'm like, okay, so he maybe does have some kind of magical power as white that we're not really been told about yet. Anyone else pick up on that?
Yes. And I did pick up on the fact that he was taking apart Jinna's charms to try and figure out how they worked. And also her charms are made of beads. And Amber is a bead maker. Like that was one of the main things that she did. She made beads. So I'm wondering if the hedge witchery, which is a new type of magic that apparently is real magic, is anything to do with the whites.
Oh, it's a glamour. I think I found it. It's like a glamour, and it's like, of course, no one is invulnerable to me if I choose to enchant them, but no one but you, that is. When he's talking to Fitz. So he can enchant people.
I missed the point where he gave back Jinna's necklace. Because I know he took it to like disassemble it and look at it, and then at some point Fitz just had it again, and I was like, when did you get that back?
I do remember him giving it back, but I can't specifically say when. But he did make a point of giving it back.
Didn't he give him it back so he'd go downstairs and get some food? Because he was like, wear this, and because he was like starving or something. I don't. It's all a blur. I've repressed a lot of this. We know this.
Unless it was the necklace that he gave him to go and be like, go and look in the forest. I've left my necklace. Go do something, and he gave it back then. Like that was the necklace. But I didn't feel like it was that.
No, because that was described as like a gold chain or something, wasn't it?
I can't remember him getting it then. Someone said she gave it to him.
It was cute when the Fool was like trying to give him his earring back, and then Fitz was like, no, you keep it, and he had to like hide it. It was cute.
I wonder if he tampered with it and like added anything to it. He can
possible
have this ability to influence people, and it's just like, well, that's what the necklace was made for.
Yeah, Trixie said he went to the kitchens to get food and charm the servants. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought that he might bond to the cat because it keeps making a point of the cat, and it's clear that Jinna isn't witted because she just found out about Fitz.
I would be so happy, but then if I have to see Fennel die, I am just done. I'm just boycotting all Hobb, okay, from now on. Can't take it again.
There was a question about Evil Cat Lady because we haven't spoke about her. But the chat's moving pretty fast tonight. I'm not used to this speed during Elderlingalong.
We have a lot of thoughts, clearly.
What were your theories about what was going on with the cat before it was revealed? I actually got it. I don't want to be that thing. I did.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where like a subtle hint was given, apart from it wasn't subtle because it was all mentioned once. So there was just randomly the story of the deer that was taken over by a person. And it's like, I wonder why we've just been told that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first got it when I was like, if Miss Cat's are loyal to one master, it's likely Dutiful's cat is loyal to somewhere else. And then I just put, is there a woman trapped in his cat? And then the last thing I wrote was, is the cat woman a dragon?
Just to really mess with like the boundaries of everything.
Yeah.
Like the cat's actually a woman that's actually a dragon that's actually a boy. Like, whoa.
I don't think we've seen the end of her though, because like considering she was the villain, the death of the cat was more about the cat's sacrifice than about the villain that they vanquished.
This is why I said to these guys before, I honest to God thought, because we still don't know how the whip works entirely, I was terrified that the cat lady would jump into Night Eyes once the cat was dead. And I thought there was going to be a whole thing of Night Eyes turning against Fitz, which I'm really glad didn't happen. Because that would have just like torn me apart.
I'm prepared to be proven wrong, but I do think that's the end of her. I don't think she's going to come back.
I think it's
prepared to be wrong.
Her brother will, her twin will.
Yeah, the brother will, for sure.
So.
But as soon as the cat died, all of the people came with Laurel and kind of ended that. So she could theoretically have jumped into any of the people there, if it was possible, or any of the other animals there that left with them. And you just wouldn't know.
This is the thing, so I'm just like...
I'm not buying it.
We don't know if an actual, like, established bond is needed to actually do the whole, like, we're going to connect. So is it a case where she can just jump around, or is it like, no, she was bonded with that one cat and that's where she's going to be?
Interesting.
Because she needed to bond with Dutiful first to go into Dutiful.
Yeah, because otherwise she would have just jumped straight there, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Or maybe into her brother. I did think about this because she would have been close enough, but then she didn't seem malicious in herself. It was more just like she died and wanted her body back. So I don't know whether she'd sabotage her own brother.
Because it's the brother that had the big issue, and like all them of being like, well, we're going to bring down the Farseer line, and we're going to do that by planting my dead sister and the prince. Like, okay.
Maybe would have gone into his horse if like he okayed it, so that he could keep his sister alive somehow, share that bond with his. He had a war horse, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying any of it.
I feel like the actual like fully fledged bond would have been needed for it, so I'm like,
Yeah, because like I don't think she could jump into a human. I don't think she could because she had to bond with Dutiful to get it. But the horse, I think, could be a good show.
Would be a possibility because it's a twin, so there's already going to be that bond kind of there.
Also, it's about wills, isn't it? And different animals have different wills, like because they are like the animals. So, would birds have a weaker will? Maybe.
Did not.
Don't think we've had a bird perspective at all yet.
There's a lot of birds chilling with the old blood people, not the piebald people.
Yeah, there was that scene where that lass got away because there was like a flock of birds that attacked and stuff.
Yeah, it was a revenge plot. It was an interesting villain. I think the way that it was written at the beginning, it did seem like, because somebody said that they thought there was another cat there. The Catwoman was a different cat, and they were enchanting Dutiful to see her as a woman. I did, because the way that it's written is very like dreamlike at the beginning, when Fitz is just having dreams of Dutiful chasing after a cat. So I did think something along those lines right at the beginning. Oh yeah, the bird dude's wife is bonded to a bird, and she's very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we're going to find out what that cat's name was at some point for some reason. So I'm just like, we have names for such insignificant characters. I feel like the cat needed a name for some reason. I don't know. It's an interesting one. It really does play on the whole like piebald prince situation in terms of like the novella, with the fear of it being that like the animal's going to take over the human, because that's literally what she was trying to do. Like, use the animal to take over Dutiful. Like, he wouldn't have been entirely human. He would have been more cat than that, just parading in a human body.
No, Dutiful didn't know the cat's name because the cat had to give him the name, but he hadn't yet.
They made it a whole big deal about being like, oh, you can't know names until you've earned whatever, and to earn it, he needed to go and do whatever they wanted him to do.
Mm-hmm. That was just all really sad with the cat, how the woman's will had forced the cat out, and the cat was all like...
So sad. Couldn't even like clean itself or, you know, hunt or anything. It was real sad. It was full of fleas. Yeah, this is my weight partner.
Is it Tibbs? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just...
It's going to be one of those things where, like, if we ever come across a scrawny, scraggly looking animal, I'm going to be suspicious of it now. I'm just like, you have a human in you.
Stupid evil cat lady is correct. What's next? We have spoke about the Fool a bit, haven't we? Does anybody have any other thoughts on the Fool?
Just what he's up to. He's really aiming for the dragon thing. I'm sensing that he's seen some kind of prophecy of some sort that's linking everything together with dragons and fits and whatever. So I'm just like,
yeah, the fact that he asked him if he's been dreaming about dragons.
Yeah.
It's just like, no.
And it's just like, not any more than the average man. And she's like, no, but have you though?
That was fun. I did like that. Because we're kind of assuming from what we've read so far that the skill and the wit come from dragons and are tied to dragons in some way. But like the magic in Farseer just seems very different to the dragon magic. Because like being bonded to a dragon and sharing magic with a dragon in live ship makes you an Elderling. But like Fitz has the same magic as a dragon. But isn't an Elderling.
Yeah.
This is the thing, so I'm just like, dragons are animals. Why is it a dragon? I'm just like, dragons are animals. I don't understand why that wouldn't be the wit when we know it's the skill. I'm just like, but why is it not the wit? They're animals.
Yeah.
Is it because they're another type of animal?
Yeah.
They're a fantasy animal, so they don't do it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, they're seen as like a superior race, aren't they? They're better than humans. Whereas animals are less than humans in the hierarchy.
And it's like we've got all these little inklings of other magic coming in, and I'm like, this is about to confuse me again.
The memory dragons, they were just animated skill stone, weren't they?
Yeah.
Imbued by the memories of the people who'd awoken them.
So,
I'm waiting for Fitz. I think there might be a problem actually when Fitz finds out that the Fool knows that Verity isn't a real dragon. Because that was a big deal where they all wanted to become Elderlings and that Verity was going to go to the Elderlings and he like became an Elderling, but he didn't. He became like an Elderling's tribute to a dragon.
Especially because we've now started putting the emphasis on like the only person that Fitz trusts is the Fool, and it's just like if he finds out he lied or like kept something hidden rather. It's all very confusing.
Aaron, what are you doing here? I'm so spoiled for live ships.
If you don't read the live ship, then you would never know that Verity is not a real... That's a very good point, actually. If you don't read live ship traders, you'll never know. I imagine it'll come in later. But the Verity isn't a dragon. Verity became some rock that moves. I mean, yeah. It's when Speed feels so betrayed if the Fool keeps it a secret from him, yeah. Because I feel like Fitz is starting to see different sides to the Fool that we've already seen because we've known the Fool as Amber. And that's surprising. Like, Fitz is for somebody who's very distrustful, he's also very trusting because he's supposed to be an assassin, but sometimes unless he's making a point of calling on like Shade's teaching, he very just plainly sees what's in front of him and takes it at face value. So like when he was confronted by Lord Golden and he's like, oh cool, we're playing a game, and then it started to click with Fitz that like the fool is actually Lord Golden. And he was struggling to wrap his head around that a little bit. So like his mind's gonna be blown when he finds out about Amber.
About Amber, yeah. That'll be fun.
But is he dead though? I'm gonna read it, I promise.
We're not saying anything about that.
Would Fitz like Amber?
Yeah, I think so.
We know Amber likes Fitz.
I just really want, because obviously we saw the thing where it was like he went touring for a bit, and I was like, I really want him to just accidentally come across the ship that has his face on it.
Yes.
Like,
he saw one, didn't he? He said he saw one of the talking ships, and I was like, oh, I wonder which one.
I just really want him to be like,
is it Paragon that looks like Fitz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changed him to
That would be just like crazy.
He's even got the charge box, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got the book. Yeah. And
It's
the hammer, like the war hammer.
The axe thing, and the ear, literally everything.
Yeah.
She wasn't subtle.
No, she wasn't.
Well, she was carving it, and they're like, "Who's this?" It's like the love of my life.
right, because there's a thing like he's telling his story, and I think one of the only times that the fool interrupts it being like, "You went to Bingtown?" As if it was like, "Shit."
What do you know about other me?
Yeah.
Leave. No, you can't. Go.
What is wrong with people today?
It's got to happen at some point.
Him meeting Paragon would be so great, because can you imagine both of them would just be like, who are you? Oh, that would be cool.
I'm going to see if there's anything else about it.
Who's grumpy at Paragon or Fitz?
Oh, I don't know. They both got a lot of trauma. Yeah. What else was he said something about Bingtown? Oh, he said that he got like a weird vibe from the ships. It felt wrong. Like Night Eye said that it felt wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Paragon would hate meeting Fitz. I don't think Fitz would be fond of Paragon either, to be fair. Paragon's way grumpier. I think Fitz and Brashen could be an interesting meeting.
Yes.
I think Fitz and Paragon, like Fitz just wouldn't, because Paragon, I mean, not towards the end, but especially when he does have his temper tantrums, he acts like a child. And we've seen how well Fitz deals with angry children.
Yeah.
So I feel like
if you don't stop, I will chop your arms.
I'm just like, can't see that going well if they just stop bickering. And also as well because Fitz does feel like you're just wrong. The magic with you're wrong. I can just imagine him being like, oh, like instantly having an aversion. And then once Paragon starts talking, and if he gets irate in any way, it's just not going well.
That'd be fun.
And then the fool just comes charging in and everyone knows him and everyone's like, what? How? Calling him 10 different names.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just Fitz is so dumb. Because the fool's like, you do not then dream of dragons? I thought I knew what he meant. A Veritius dragon? No. No, that's not what he meant. Is it what he said? Then it's not what he meant. Oh, bless.
Yeah. Particular scene.
Are we any more fixed on agenda for the Fool, Amber, Lord Golden? They're a solid day.
Yeah.
Genderless.
Yeah.
I was talking to you guys after sprints about how these books are kind of queer, but they're not explicitly queer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that I think we spoke about this before, especially in regards to Fitz and the Fool, about how they're quite clearly, the Fool is quite clearly madly in love with Fitz. And how I especially was hoping that by the end of the series it does become a thing, because while the series started in the 90s, it ended in 2017. So like times have changed a lot, and it doesn't have to, like, it can be explicit in 2017, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people said in the comments that it never really becomes a romance, which just upsets me.
Oh, what was this?
Why it's one of those species that can change their genders.
Oh, there's a thing towards the beginning. Hang on, let me recap. They're talking about Burrick and Nettle when I think the Fool has seen Burrick. Once or twice when I visited there. Is this Stalin talking? Who's talking? Jade? I don't know, someone's talking. Once or twice when I visited there had been toys about, far finer than anything Burrick could afford for Nettle. One was a doll that put me very much in mind of the Fool's puppets. Another time there was a string of wooden beads, each carved with a little face. I'm just like, interesting.
To Aaron, we are reading book 2. I'm going to read book 2 at the end of June because I was feeling real confident this week and I forgot how long it takes me to just read a page of these books. So the official reading period for book 2 is May and June, but the live show is going to be like probably second weekend in July. So on Aaron's speed, she can probably read it in July.
This is where Aaron's now going to binge all of them up until this point in the next week.
Oh no, she'll be done. Like by the end of the week, she'll have finished Assassin's Fair, and then she can let us know whether they do indeed smash in the last series. There's a male-male relationship in Rainwild, so Hobb is definitely down to write queer relationships.
Good to know.
Oh god, we're gonna hate Fitz in the next book regarding the Fool. Yeah, the world's take on LGBT. I don't think there's anyone at the minute, especially in the Six Duchies.
Other than the Fool kissing the
boys. Yeah. A lot more discussion in Rainwilds. See, I've been thinking that the series is queer coded, but then because it kind of is explicit in terms of like the Fool is genderqueer, like the Fool is genderless, and it's hard because I'm reading this from a 2021 perspective. So for me, the Fool's feelings towards Fitz are like so clear. But if you're reading it in like the year 2002 when it was published, would your brain immediately make that jump?
I think it's very much because it's the Fool as well. From the beginning, he's been like the whimsical one. He's just jumping around, and it's kind of like a quirk for him to keep saying that, you know, he's obsessed with Fitz. I mean, another scene I've just come across is when he's with the Fool and they do something. It's like, take a breath, Fitz, and then wanted to weep with relief. Instead, I sank into a bottomless sleep. I dreamed a strange dream. I dreamed I was safe. I came to a hazy wakefulness before dawn. I took a deep breath and realized I was in the Fool's bed. And that's why he feels safe. And I'm like...
Gracie just said, I don't think it needs to be romantic between them. I think it's just pure love and a bit of infatuation with his catalyst. See, it's not like I want it to be like romantic in terms of like an epic romance, but I just kind of want an acknowledgement from Fitz that the Fool is also his soulmate. And I want them to ride off into the sunset together, even like platonically. The end of the last book. But they've got to be holding hands.
We know very well that the end of the last book is not going to have a happy ending for us, though. So
I think Live Shit Trilogy has more romance than all the books about Fool and Fitz, except fucking Molly. I think in the end you'll be satisfied anyway with the Fitz and the Fool.
Good to know.
Just all of the connections are really interesting, especially when you do have the added thing of the skill and the weight and everything. I mean, there's a part where is it Beautiful nearly drowns? I don't know, at one point he nearly dies. And he goes into a dream place and he wakes up and he's just like, I dreamed my father held me together and told me that I was going to be fine. That was all, when actually it was his real father, but he was talking very like, no, that was it. Just die hugging him.
Oh my god, I'm excited.
Ah,
I
So we
kind of
get the acknowledgement, but then we're going to hate it.
yeah,
So that does not bode well.
I
yeah.
think there's tension for those two coming soon.
Mhm.
As I believe that there's going to be live ship traders characters coming into this series at some point, and that's obviously going to be a big deal for the character of the Fool or Lord Golden. And I'm interested to see how the Fool's going to react to that, because who is the Fool when the live ship traders characters are present? Is the Fool Amber? Are they Lord Golden? Like if they're in a room with, I don't know, like Malta and Fitz, who are they?
Yeah.
Which would be really interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does Lord Golden still look at all like Amber?
Well, they change appearance a little bit every time we see them, so it's like, who the hell knows at this point? But then Fitz recognized the Fool.
Mm.
Yeah, and says that he hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Doesn't age, or ages very, very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he mentioned because he's not human, he's a different species. He ages at a different pace.
In the beginning, when the Fool comes back, did they come directly from Bingtown? Because then it's a case of, well, if they do change...
No, they would have come from Buck.
He came from Buck, yeah, because he'd already established himself as Lord Golden by that point.
Yeah, and he'd been sent, well, not sent by Jade, but he knew all of that stuff.
Like, in terms of timeline, where would they change? How would they change? I feel like that would need a massive explanation, but obviously we've got a lot of things about the Fool that we just don't know. So it's like, well, it could be.
Well, so I cried during the last 200 pages of Assassin's Fair. I'm already, even if, I don't think the series is going to have a happy ending, but even if it did, I would still probably cry through the second half of the last book, because it's the last book. And we followed Fitz's entire life, so I'm like fully prepared to just die throughout the last book.
Bawl my eyes out, yeah.
We'll be here in the last live show, like, look how far we've come. Remember book 1 when he got all the sword.
Like, remember Nosy?
Oh.
It's never explicitly said when the live ships happened within those 15, 16 years. I think, what's the time period of live ship? I don't remember. It's a good few years, isn't it?
Yeah, because we keep getting new seasons, like in the parks.
I think it's about 4 years, because we follow Malta from being nearly a woman to then being married, don't we? So I think it's about 4 years.
The Fool's colour changes. I'm wondering, because the next book's Golden Fool. Is Golden different? I don't even know what colour Tawny is.
It's like, well, how are we going to keep progressing from Golden? What's after Golden? Like, where are we going next?
Platinum Fool.
Oh, I love how I searched Tawny versus Golden and it's giving me like foundation shades. That actually really helps.
Yeah.
So according to this, he should be going honey bronze before he goes gold.
That sounds like a name that they'd come up for themselves. Like, you can call me honey bronze.
Yeah, I want to read Soldier Son. I don't know whether I'll find it quite jarring and sad, though, to read more from Robin Hobb that isn't connected to the Elderlings.
Yeah.
Like, when I read Sanderson that isn't Cosmere, it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
Tawny is golden / amber. Okay, fair.
Is it just like the non-shiny version?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. At one point, it does say in the live ships, it's been so many years since the dragons flew over book. Talk about the beautiful cover of the hardback edition of the Golden Fool. Is that the one with the big tattoo?
Oh, I have a paperback of it up there.
Yeah, I've got the one. There's one, a red one that looks like the Fool has like the back to the cover and like a white shirt on that's like lowered over the shoulders, and they've got a massive tattoo down the back.
I haven't seen any of these.
Yeah, that one.
I don't even want to look at the illustrations on them now anymore, because now that I see all these little illustrations, it's all like even the figurines on the back and the charm is on the back on the bottom.
Yeah, I haven't. I looked at this when I
Prince.
first started and didn't know what anything was, so now I'm gonna look again.
Yeah, and like you see the piebald prince sign for the pub.
There's the thing that Dutiful picked up.
Yeah, the charm, and then there's like the necklace that he wears as well.
I'm just like, we've got a brawl.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what they were at first because I was like, these are all pendants, but I don't know which ones they are.
We've got the feather, the crown, the head witch's door with the part on it. And then the cat on the bottom left. And then know what an other looks like. Creepy thing.
Looks like E.T. with an extended neck.
Yeah. I really like these covers because on here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different clues about the book.
Yeah.
Because even the spine's different to the front and back as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try and not pay too close attention to my second one in this.
Me and Jed like got nothing.
Singular. I love how yours came with the big spoiler of Night Eyes is being attacked.
There's dragons or serpents or the cockpheasant on the next one.
All of those dragons. So I feel like the White Prophet's going to cause some shit, which is going to mean that the red ships are going to come back, but they don't have the stone dragons anymore, so they're going to need the real dragons to fight them off. That's how I feel like they're going to be interconnected.
Just to think, it's going to be pissy as hell.
Yes.
This is the thing as well. Obviously, I'm going to guess this is set. I mean, if the dragon books come after, well, they could be set at the same time, I suppose. But, like, obviously we left live ships with the dragon still needing to be a thing and mature and come back.
It's mentioned in this book, isn't it, that the dragons were born and they're all ill?
Yeah.
So it's just like, so I think enough time's going to pass in this series for them to kind of figure out what's going on with the newborn baby dragons. So then we'll jump into the next ones and whatever.
That's what I was thinking. Somehow they're going to be connected.
Something I actually enjoy about Dutiful and Hap and Fitz is that Fitz had like almost a dual personality because of the two different people he was, where he was like with the nobility because he was a prince's bastard, but also shunned because he was a bastard. And I like how he's giving Dutiful and Hap elements of the life that he wanted for himself in different ways. Both like different perspectives. Which I like.
It's like two sides of what his role was growing up.
And he's also giving Dutiful, he's given both of them as well the stability that he wanted and didn't have. So for Dutiful, he's going to be like his skill partner. Or teacher, I guess, skill master, and teach him in the way, which nobody did because Boric tried to suppress it. And then for Hap, he's like more like emotional support, I want to say, in terms of like just being a father, I guess, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's just the more people he has to be connected with, the more pain is going to cause Fitz when something happens to them. I feel like Hap's not going to last long. I don't know. I just have a feeling.
This was right at the end. No, I don't think.
Now looking for.
Fitz said that he recognized her for some reason. Like,
I've got it tabbed.
I stared back at her thinking I had seen her before or met someone of her house. But before I could snag the memory, the litter was borne past me and on up the hill. I have no idea where he would have met her.
No.
Or anyone who knows her.
Another thing that I highlighted is that he's wearing a thing with leaping narwhals on, so I was like, narwhals? It's another fantasy creature.
Rainwilds is about 6-7 years after live ships.
Okay. I just keep reading the little like history part about the Out Islands and how it leads to Kawarogred.
Somebody's asked us twice, and we were talking about other things, so I didn't pull it up before, and it's like way back now. But what do we think the significance, like why do we think it was so important to the fool that Fitz liked his horse? And I don't have an answer for that, but I do know, like it's something I picked up on, and I was like, what is it about this horse? Why did the fool choose this one specifically to give to Fitz?
Well, yeah, you've got a point. I don't know. I think part of me was just like, oh, the fool just knows how picky Fitz is with animals, so we wanted to make sure he chose well. But then I'm like, no, there's probably something else, though, because the Fitz is saying this a few times now.
Well, because I saw somebody say earlier, like, they wonder if they're going to bond. Is that something that the fool could have known beforehand, even if they didn't know how? They were just like...
But why would the fool bring... Oh, I suppose the fool can see the future.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a prophecy, yeah.
Because I was going to say, why would the fool bring him a horse when Night Eyes is still alive? Like, he doesn't need anything to bond with. But... maybe because the horse doesn't want to be bonded. That could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Because it's like the horse is not a good horse in terms of like behavior.
Yeah.
And training. So I was curious, but then I don't really know anything about horses. So I that didn't help me with the...
Isn't it interesting that it came back, but it didn't want to be like... it kind of came back, but...
Yeah.
was doing that the entire way.
The figurine.
Yeah. Is that Wizardwood, do we think?
I think it's the girl. I think...
oh, the girl from the Out Islanders.
Yeah, I think that's what this is in response to, where Fitz said he'd seen her before.
That's interesting.
I don't know if I can. I probably can't show her in any clarity here.
Yeah, but she does have dark hair. Yeah.
And she's wearing blue.
Yeah.
I can see him bonded to my black. So do we have any solid predictions about the next book?
Solid, no. Just that there probably will be more pain.
Yeah. I think we could lose Shade or Burrick soon. I think he's going to have to go to Burrick because of Nettle at some point. Because the fool was making a big deal about how there's no future where she survives if Dutiful dies. So I feel like she's going to be endangered at some point and he's going to have to go to get her or to protect her or something. Or Burrick is going to end up coming because something happens with Nettle. Burrick would end up like coming to Shade and finding out that Fitz is still alive. But I just like, I don't want to see the reunion between Fitz and Burrick because it is going to break my heart.
Yeah, because he doesn't know.
Also because it kind of reminds me how Fitz viewed Shade as not like a father figure, even though Shade like treats him like one. In the Fitz decided that it would be best if Burrick didn't know he was alive. Because he saw himself as a burden and couldn't come in between Burrick and Molly, which, like, yeah, fair point. But, like, Fitz was like his son.
I feel like Nettle's going to have to be coming there with the skill as well because he's already, like, accidentally skilled to her. What if they keep doing that? So I think she might end up being part of a coterie. That's my prediction.
I think I'm going to like her.
Yeah, I think she's going to be cool. I think she's going to be a fun one.
It'll be funny because we've dealt with like young boys all the way through this, and I can just imagine Fitz being like, what?
I was going to say I prefer young girls to young boys in terms of like perspectives and stuff, because we've got a lot of young boys in this series. And I remember
Malta, yeah.
Malta?
She had the best character development, but Jesus, she gave Sansa
unbearable.
Also predicting that the Fool will continue to be vague and confusing.
Yeah.
I can't find reference to a conversation that I seem to remember happening where Fitz asks Shade about Dutiful's betrothed and about how, but she's 11. And Shade says something along the lines of, oh, you've clearly not met her then. She's a queen in her own right.
Yeah.
But I can't find that conversation. But she's clearly very bold and important at the age of 11 if she's a queen in her own right. But I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I tabbed that, but I do remember it, and I think I read it today.
I've got it.
Hey.
I saw her, the Narcheska. She's only a child. A strange smile lit Shade's face. If you say she's only a child, then I doubt you actually saw her. She is a queen in the bud, Fitz. I wish you could meet her and speak to her. By the greatest good fortune, the Out Islanders have offered us an extraordinary match for our prince.
What if she's actually the White Prophet? Because like the White Prophet could just make herself look really young. I mean, it's very unlikely, but
that's horrifying, Katie.
That is, I'm pretty sure that they have mentioned that the Fool is kind of ageless. Like,
they do describe her as a woman, though, the pale woman.
Yeah,
she's 11.
She's also a white, but then again, she's not the true one. She's like the opposite that wants destruction.
It's funny because Marley said I think she's a plant, as in she's been planted, but I thought like a plant.
A plant. Yeah.
Malta is incredible, yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
So I think. Oh, go on.
I was going to say, it does seem important, though, that she is already this, like, queenly figure, because that's the point where Shade cuts off and is just like, you're supposed to be reporting to me! And it's just like...
Yeah. That's why I think
we never got the full report there, because the chapter ends with Shade being like, right, so I'll give you my report now, and we never get it.
Yeah. Just the fact that she's seen as older than her age, it has me like wondering, like maybe she is also an ageless character.
I got really excited because, like Nikki said, I keep thinking she's a daughter of someone from the live ships. There was a point where they said that it would be better if the Dutiful was married to somebody else and not an Out Islander, and they said like the daughter of a big town trader, and I was like, oh my god. But then I remembered that they're all paired up in the live ship traders, and years have passed, so like Malta was the youngest female, and she'll now be like 20, so it just wouldn't work. No, my Peloton name isn't Plant Lady Becca, but I have heard Cody shouting, not Cody.
Not
me. Yeah, no. Plant Lady Becca when I've been doing a ride and being like, is that me? But no, it's not.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of like girl and stuff, we haven't really heard too much about the Out Islander. I really can't say that. Out Islanders.
Yeah.
Well, Glynn's going to be very important. I'm keen to know more about why she's so.
And obviously, since the beginning, we've always been like, but what about the red ships and the forging and everything? Because we just kind of had that, and then they went, and it's just like, now we're going to see them come back, I guess.
How did we wrap it up with them? We kind of didn't. It's like they were this faceless group just forging people, and then they sent the dragons that then forged the Out Islanders. And that was it. We never really encountered. Oh, there was. What about that dead ship?
The white ship. The white ship. Something to do with the pale lady. Yeah.
Fitz and Fool. You need a real fancy plant to call the Fool.
Something extravagant.
Something half dead for Fitz, just wilting away in pain.
Fussy bonsai's called Fitz. We have a lot of Fitzes here.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somebody's got a pet called Fitz as well.
Leon.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. Is it named after Fitz?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so when I get a kitten, I'm gonna call it Fitz. Awful.
It's like Fitz missed out on so much mothering that everybody needs to name the plants and their animals Fitz so that he gets all the love that he needed.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else to add?
I'm still thinking about how he knows the young girl and whether it is that pendant or whatnot, or if maybe when the timeline wouldn't add up there, but like a skill dream somehow, somewhere to an Outlander. I can't say Outlander now either. But the timeline wouldn't add up to when that was happening because she wouldn't have been conceived yet, so that doesn't make sense. But
I can call my golden Pothos the Fool.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I've got a full plant too.
I'm just trying to think, like, if she's the figurine, like, what would be the relevance of, like, Dutiful picking up a figurine of his betrothed?
why would there be a figurine of her?
I don't know, because like how long has it taken us to assemble the rooster crown? Like we saw a vision of it in Assassin's Quest. We found it in Ship of Destiny. Was it the last one that they found it? And now he's got the feathers. So that's $7 just to get this crown established.
I haven't even put it together yet.
No.
I mean, we know somebody who likes to carve figurines and also has visions, so maybe the Fool created that a while ago, and it ended up on Other's Island.
And they age slowly, but how slow is slow?
Like, how did it get there? Who's visiting this island all the time?
What do the others mean when they say that the items are things that humans had but no longer deserve? Because we've seen like dead kittens wash up on that beach.
Yeah.
Silver like forks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could be Wizardwood.
Yeah.
Do humans not deserve cats because of how terribly they've just treated them?
Yeah.
Possible.
But then I'm just like, because that beach was really difficult to get to in terms of like Ship of Magic, everything, or at least it was made out that way, and then we visited it about 5 times. But I'm just like,
Wintro. Sorry.
It's like we can get there really easily with the skill pullers that are just like chilling.
Wintro.
Something off Other's Island, Treasure Beach. He took the little baby, the little dragon baby that was in Etta's boot. So he's been robbing from there as well.
I'm trying to keep track of all these little objects that are being taken from a place that's apparently not to be robbed from.
The Out Highlander sigil is the fox. So what significance could that have? Feels like a cryptic crossword.
I'm gonna say foxes are generally like sneaky. We're gonna
Cunning and wily.
yeah.
Interesting.
Also, I'm just gonna say I found it highly ironic that Dutiful was calling Fitz a thief, and then he's robbed a figurine.
Also, that Dutiful is called Dutiful, and everyone's like, "Yes, he's so dutiful," and then he spends the whole book moaning about having a duty, trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, the piebald prince's mother was Princess Caution. She wasn't that cautious. So
Yeah, no.
Really...
I think it says at the beginning of that something to do with when like she wasn't baptized enough, so her name didn't stick, and they said that she should have been baptized or whatever they call it for longer.
Yeah.
And that's why she just wasn't cautious at all.
Well, that's interesting, because did we see Dutiful's birth? Because obviously only Ketchicum would have been around, and she didn't have the traditions of the Farseer family unless people tell us to do it. And maybe that's why his name didn't stick.
Molly said that's like all of their names. I suppose Regal was kind of regal in appearance in that he was bougie as fuck.
And what was the grandfather called again?
Shrewd.
Shrewd, he was.
Yeah. We had an argument, well, not an argument, but we were debating whether chivalry was chivalrous. He abandoned his son, but then people were saying that he was appalled that he hadn't been chivalrous, which is why he left, and I remember that. I would say Verity fits as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Chivalry cheated on his wife, but he wasn't married yet. Is it chivalrous to impregnate someone and run away?
Did he know though? I can't remember if he knew. I mean, the act of it is still bad enough, but like,
Yeah.
I don't think he would have abandoned had he known. And then obviously years later it came to light, and he was like, "Oh shit, gotta go." But
Chivalry had to be the most amazing guy to inspire so much loyalty.
Yeah.
He's like Thingy Targaryen. My dude, what's he called?
Later.
Yes. Love of my life. Never met him, but seems like a great guy.
an interesting thing that came up again in terms of dutiful being dutiful is the point that with Ketchcumby and his mother, they're not kings and queens in the Mountain Kingdoms, they are sacrifices.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that got brought up again randomly.
Also, dutiful is such a good tricky name to choose because, like, his most important thing would be the duty to his country. I mean, should have just called him sacrifice. Would have worked. We know nothing. I need a Fitz conception story.
It's just the thing. I'm like, at some point we've got to find out who his mom is, right? There's so much emphasis placed on bloodlines and stuff that I'm like, come on.
All we know is that she's from the outskirts of the Mountain Kingdom. Anyone got anything else to add?
My brain's frazzled.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? I think the next book is only slightly longer than this one, so it's not a super long one, but then the next one's pretty long, the final one. So, oh, that's what her stillborn was called. Yeah, forgot about that. That's sad. Cool. So that is Fitz has already met his mother. I'm scared.
Me too.
It's also said he protected Fitz from the outside by leaving. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's already met his mother.
They keep
My
mentioning,
frazzled brain can't handle this.
they keep mentioning that he can't remember anything, even though he was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
He made a point of saying that somebody was really frustrated that he couldn't remember anything. And he's just like,
He put all of his memories into the dragon as well of his mother, as well as Molly.
he already didn't remember it though. So
He didn't know.
I don't know that.
So I'm just like, I feel like this just, I mean, I can't remember stuff from when I was 6 years old. I can't remember stuff from when I was 3, so I guess that's something. But like, generally, if I'm trying to think back.
Who?
Someone said Brisinga.
I forgot who Brisinga is.
I don't know who that is.
They're the one that gave Dutiful the cat.
Oh, no, not her.
No, because we've just been told we meet her in
The
first trilogy, not this trilogy.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
I don't remember women at the first trilogy.
No. Just Patience, but we know it's not Patience.
Unless it turns out to be.
No, because she was pissed that he'd had an affair, so it's not her.
This is going to be fab.
This is going to mess with my head for a while.
Anyway, much to think about. Dropping that bomb on us just before we leave. No, I'm just going to get a character list of every character in the Realm of the Elderlings and cross-reference it to the first trilogy. But thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Fool's Errand discussion. The next one, I think, Ashley, is at your channel?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's Ashley's channel. It will be posted on Twitter before the event, but it's going to be at the beginning of July. So you got like six weeks to read it. And yeah, we will see you all then. It was lady time after all. You all know how much I suck at wrapping up live shows, and now I've just lost my thread. I'm going to repeat myself 10 times, and it's going to be a whole mess.
Get to use a discount code.
But yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you in July.